Have you ever done something that you're very proud of, or made something that you're very proud of to show off to people? Well, today I'm going to be showing you something that I'm very proud of, which is 2 pieces of pottery that I've made. And over the course of my 2-year pottery making career, I have practiced my technique very diligently to the point where I'm very proud and happy to show them off to people. So before we get started, I'd like to explain what pottery is. Pottery is the process of taking clay and molding it into whatever shape that you desire with your hands or any other tools that you have. Once you've got it molded, you let it dry, you glaze it with nice coloring, and then you throw it into the kiln to harden. And that's what pottery is, basically. So that brings us to our next step. The first piece that I'd like to show you guys is my little mug that I've made. So this mug was actually made with a method called the slab method. And what the slab method is, it's actually rolling out clay into flat slabs. That's why it's called the slab method. Then you take those slabs and you can make them into a box or whatever generic shape that you want to make with a slab. So the way that I made this mug was, first I had to make a round flat slab as my base. So I laid my base down, and then I made a rectangular long piece of slab, and then I rolled that rectangular slab into a circular shape and made my walls. So I placed it on top of the base and let it dry. So on that point I had a nice cup, but I wanted to make it into a mug. So I had to make a handle. As you can see, it's a pretty thick slab, but also very thin on the sides. So I did the same thing as my sides. I rolled out an elongated piece of slab and then stuck it on the side of the cup. And then I glazed it and threw it in the kiln. And what you see here is the finished product. And it's got a very nice blue tint to it. You can't really see it, but in person it looks much better. Now the second piece is a little bit on the side of impractical, if not excessive. And that was the goal that I was going for when I created this about 1.5 foot tall vase, was to make it as large as possible without not being able to fit in the kiln to dry and harden. So this vase was actually made with a technique called the coil method. And the coil method is where you roll a bunch of clay into elongated coils, and then you stack those coils on top of one another until you have the desired shape that you want. So that's exactly what I did with this. I made my base first, and then once I had my base laid down, I made a bunch of coils and then started stacking those coils over and over and over and over again until I hit about 1.5 feet. That was my cutoff point. And overall, I've probably got about 70 individual coils stacked on top of one another. So it's a very time-consuming process, and it takes a long time to do so. But I'm very happy with how it turned out. And really, you can't use this thing other than planting very large ferns or a small tree in it. It's really just for artistic display and comical relief, basically. So when I started pottery, my technique was terrible. You really couldn't tell what I was making. It just looked like a pile of bleh, whatever, really. And so as the years progressed, I got much better, and people noticed that. They knew how terrible I was when I first started it out, and to the point where I am now. And they said, well, if you started out that bad, and now you're to the point where you are now, surely I can do the same. So I'd like to think that I inspired a couple of people to get into ceramics because they see me transforming into what I am now. So it really brings me a lot of joy because ceramics is just a great hobby. Pottery is a great thing to get into. You can make anything you want, gifts for loved ones. You can make practical pots, whatever, really. Today I still make pots. I still make pieces. Not very often though, but I still do it, and in the future I plan to continue to do so. So in conclusion, those are just two of my pieces. I have a lot more, but those are the two easiest to just show you guys. And I like to say that pottery is a wonderful hobby to get into, and it really brings you a lot of joy once you get into it and you get really good at it. And if you know anybody, or if you yourself are interested, I strongly encourage you to get into it because it's just a really fun hobby. So thank you for watching and looking at my creative pieces. Thank you.